What if giant insects never went extinct?
Creating a voiceover with AI can be...
God, bro. Hold on, this shit is loud as shit, dog. Turn this shit up. Good looks. Dickhead.
At Wilson.
300 million years ago, Earth was the kingdom of giant insects. As time went on, they eventually went extinct, and then the dinosaurs entered the scene. But what if that never happened? What if these giant scorpions, worms, and dragonflies were still around today? And how did they go extinct in the first place? This is What If, and here's what would happen if the giant insects never went extinct. Okay, before we get to what our insects would be like today, well, first we need to go back. The Carboniferous period, also known as the Age of Oxygen, ran from 400 million years ago to 290 million years ago. Super-sized dragonfly wannabes, also known as griffin flies, had wingspans up to 70 centimeters. They darted about, gobbling up smaller insects. The griffin flies were also 45 centimeters long. They had huge eyes and vision like a hawk. Their spiny legs helped them grab their prey. Then there was the Mazzatheros. It was 55 centimeters long and had 6 wings. It had 2 pairs of regular wings and an additional pair of winglets. But its scariest feature? It had a beak-like mouth equipped with a sucking pump. Like a vampire, it would pierce the tissues of plants and drink their juices. Maybe in the modern day, it would go after you. But we'll answer that later on. There was also the giant millipede, Arthroplura armata, entering the room at 2.5 meters in length. Luckily, this guy is strictly vegan. He dined on fruits, leaves, and seeds. And watch out for these massive scorpions as big as tennis rackets. You do not want to be on the wrong end of that stinger. But hold on, what made these insects grow so big in the first place? The answer lies in the weather the Earth was having at the time. Our Earth doesn't have a lot in common with the Permian period, except maybe the heat. Let's be real, the planet is heating up and we need to do something about it. And I just might have the solution. I'm talking about Solar Slice, a revolutionary way to combat climate change. How does it work? Well, it's pretty simple. You sponsor a slice of a large-scale point trees or Shares.com. 50 million years ago, it was warm, and as warm weather does, it encouraged the plants to grow. Around this time, oxygen levels in the atmosphere were about 20%, similar to what we have now on Earth. Fast forward 50 million years later, massive forests have taken over and swamps cover low-lying areas. Oxygen levels, well, they've skyrocketed to 35%. Now, the high levels of oxygen in the atmosphere made the insects big. But how exactly? Well, first, you gotta look at how insects breathe. Insects don't have lungs like we do. They have a set of
How do they breathe?
openings on their bodies called spiracles. These spiracle openings lead to a set of tubes called trachea, which run through the insects' bodies. Air enters the spiracles and passes through the trachea to deliver oxygen to all the cells in the insect's body. The more oxygen in the air, the more that can pass into the insect's body. Now, there was 35% oxygen in the air at that time, and this allowed insects to take in more oxygen, which allowed them to grow bigger. But then, 150 million years ago, something changed. Oxygen levels went up, but insect size went down. Why? Because
Less oxygen. That means they got smaller, because there was less oxygen.
a ruthless killer of insects arrived on the scene. Birds, which are, as you know, flying dinosaurs. These birds feasted on insects. They looked at the giant griffin flies and salivated, and the bigger the insect, the more likely it was to get eaten by a bird. So, insect evolutionary survival strategy was to get small and nimble. Large insects went extinct and the smaller ones survived.
Hold on before you pay for yet another app to manage your
what happened to the giant insects, was there a way they could have avoided extinction? Well, the easiest way would be for the oxygen levels to go back up to 35%. Okay, the insects would get larger, but large insects would still be hunted by birds, which are in most cases stronger. So our insects need some better survival strategies. Let's look at the largest insects we have today, one of them being the weta. It's 10 centimeters long and has been around since even before the dinosaurs. So how has it survived? By getting an island of its own. In the weta's case, New Zealand. It lived here for millions of years without having to worry about any predators. But as a long-term survival strategy, it hasn't exactly worked out. Predators eventually came to New Zealand, and wetas now live in the Auckland Zoo.
Not a real picture. Niggas hugging and shit. Family time. That a bird?
Okay, we need a better option for our giant insects. How about a supercharged stealth reproduction strategy, like the cicadas? After mating, the female cicada lays nearly 400 eggs. These eggs hatch in about 6 to 8 weeks, and the young nymphs drop down, burrow into the ground, and don't come out for up to 17 years. That's definitely one way to do it. As an insect, if you make yourself scarce, no one can eat you. Maybe our giant prehistoric insects could try that. But where's the fun in spending most of your life underground? So there's one more option. We call it the chemical warfare strategy, and it's used by the lubber. Yeah, the lubber. A large grasshopper about 8 centimeters long. Now, that's much smaller than our Carboniferous ancestors, but it has some great survival strategies that we can use. Lubbers are great at picking up various poisons from plants like onions or garlic, and they then make a poisonous broth that they can use against predators. Think of it as nature's pepper spray. When they meet a predator, like a bird or a rat, they eject their poisonous broth, creating a chemical cloud. Predators then gag and spit out the lubbers. And if this fails, they've got an internal toxin lined up. An unsuspecting bird that eats a lubber will vomit, and then they'll never try to eat one again. Okay, so now let's see if giving these insects some survival tactics will work to stop them from going extinct. With the world at 35% oxygen and some internal toxins, yeah, the giant insects now fight off the birds. But what happens when the Chicxulub asteroid hits? That's the one that wiped out the dinosaurs. Well, it's actually a pretty good thing for our insect.
Yo, G-Shock. It's cracking, nigga. Fuck you at?
Because the biggest predators are gone, and there's plenty of swampy, dying material for our insects to feast on. But what would happen to mammal and human evolution? Would we even be around? Because today, if our air...
When did I say I was dead?
became 35% oxygen overnight, that would be toxic for us. It would cause coughing, difficulty breathing, and in severe cases, seizures and death. But then again, if apes and then humans evolved in 35% oxygen, then our bodies would have evolved to function in that environment. Our cells would be supercharged, producing even more energy with higher oxygen. We'd be super runners and super swimmers, breaking all of today's records. And our brains, which use 20%
Ain't nobody was saying that.
of the oxygen we breathe, would have evolved to grow even bigger and faster. Okay, so now it's time to return to the modern day. What does the world look like? Well, if you looked out your window during the summer, instead of just seeing different birds, you'd see giant griffin flies and 6-winged insects buzzing around. Would these giant arthropods attack you if you went outside?
G-Shock, it's bedtime, I heard.
Period of evolution, there'd likely be a bunch of large winged insects that attacked humans, especially those pesky griffin flies. But remember, we humans are no pushovers. During different time periods, we'd have likely developed weapons to fight against these giant insects. During the Stone Age, maybe it was a sharp rock. Today, we'd probably have special bug sprays or zappers to fight them back. Sooner or later, just like the birds would have evolved to leave the giant insects alone, the giant insects would steer clear of us.
G-Shot, look at the food I got. My little snack for today.
Humans. Now, in addition to giant bugs flying around outside, we might have giant cockroaches and giant spiders as well. If these insects developed chemical defenses against predators, well, that could enable them to stay giant. But without these defenses, they'd be better off being small and nimble. So maybe mosquitoes would stay small. Ugh, with giant cockroaches, you'd need a whole new level of pest control to keep your kitchen safe. Now, if bugs were giant, would humans have evolved to be a whole lot bigger too?
Yes.
It's possible we'd be bigger. There's evidence to show that oxygen levels were rising from 15...
Bro, it's finally live. You miss me? Miss me, Dirk? I literally was live yesterday, though.
percent to 19% when the dinosaurs first appeared, so there could be a link, but...
Pause. Miss you too, though.
Only if it gave us an evolutionary advantage. Now, talking about things getting bigger, one other danger would get bigger too. Fires. Everything would be highly combustible. The smallest spark would get ablaze quickly. Some of these fires might even be caused by giant insects. Take the bombardier beetle.
What you got for me? Better be something gonna make me, feel me? Smile and giggle. You know what happens after that, man.
When it's threatened, it mixes two chemicals from inside its abdomen to create an explosion. Well, a giant-sized bombardier beetle might set off a much bigger explosion, one that could start a forest fire. And in 35% oxygen, forests would burn frequently. In fact, plants would probably evolve to be more resistant to fires, or they would have strategies to grow back quicker after getting burnt. And you'd also notice that the world would be getting a lot louder. A mass of cicadas today are about as loud as a lawnmower, around 100 decibels. But giant cicadas, they'd probably make you go deaf. And you know what else is likely to happen? We'll probably have insects on the menu. We humans like to eat everything, so we'll definitely be looking to add these as a protein source. Once they're bigger, they're probably perfect for a meal.
That's some shit, Dark. I know you would try that shit. Dark. I know you would eat that shit just like this nigga right here.
300 million years ago,
I know you
Earth
would.
went extinct.
Did I just restart the whole fucking video? Oh yeah. I might be off this video. What the fuck, Bruh. Alright, here I was.
They'd probably make you go deaf. And you know what else is likely to happen? We'll probably have insects on the menu. We humans like to eat everything, so we'll definitely be looking to add these as a protein source. Once they're big,
You would eat that. I know you would. For 10 bands, you eating that.
they're probably perfect for a meal. You'll have Meatless Monday and probably have Giant Insect Friday. Down under, they'll probably be throwing griffin flies on the barbie. With our advanced technological know-how, I think us humans will survive a world with giant insects, but what if it wasn't just giant insects? What if the other giants from...
W cliffhanger. Nah, though. You don't eat fish? Yeah, you're crazy. What you just eat? I know, bro, you eat chicken, bro. Come on, bro. You eat chicken, though. We probably would end up eating insects, though, if this shit was real. On some real nigga shit. We probably would be eating that shit. I'd probably, nah, man. I'd probably still be eating rice. I ain't gonna lie. No, I would only eat plants. Yeah, low key, I'd probably be on that too. I'm not eating no fucking insects for a while.